Hey, right, let's see. What's this thing all about? Okay. Well, this is my first attempt at putting something on YouTube. Yeah. Well, second actually. I did a quick video off a mobile phone and put a quick one on my lad and shit. But that was donkeys years ago. I say donkeys years. Anyway, what I want to talk about is I'm getting to I am 63. I'm getting to the age, that's what I wanted to say, of retirement, which for me will be 66, according to the government. Um, all my life, well, I say a lot of my life I've been self-employed, but a good half of it was employed too, in fairly decent jobs. Don't really know what I got coming because I opted out of this SIPS and it didn't do very well and went down the tubes basically. So, or SERPs is it? Got a SIP. The SIP was tied to the stocks and shares and oil stocks and shares, and they went to shit, which resulted in me when I got to a certain age, you could cash it in, and I was paying 15% on credit card debt at that time. So I thought, well, that saves me 15%. And it wasn't didn't it either. It was like 10 grand or something. I mean, don't get me wrong, 10 grand's an awful lot of money, but as regards pensions, it really is nothing. So I cashed it in and paid off whatever credit card I had at that time, which I thought was the thing to do, get debt free, of which I've been debt free ever since. Anyway, I've been watching some old boys in the Philippines. Old Dog New Tricks, Paul, and I think of the other guy's name, but he's got a channel called Every Man's Got a Story. To really, so considering they've never done it before, um, really, really interesting people, and they do things like break down cost of living where they are in Dumaguete in the Philippines, and lots of guys want to go to Asia for their retirement, basically to secure a better standard of living and some non-judgmental company from either be a usually a younger woman, but it not everybody goes for that. They're hard to keep up with. So, as regards, wanting to do shit all the time. Sometimes you're better off with an older bird that knows the score. Anyway, I'm giving you my preferences, which is like what this is about. What this is about is what you see these two blokes. They because I didn't know you could do this. I don't know if you can do it in this country, but in the States at 62, provided you've got the employment history, of course, you can retire early. What a good idea that is, eh? I swore then, didn't I? I'm really going to try and not swear. Anyway, 62, 63 I am, so there's another 3 years. Not really that actually, so it's March, April, May, June, July, August. It's really 2.5 years, isn't it? Before I reached March 27th, 2025, is it? Anyway, them two boys and as the others, men, um, went to spend their twilight years in the Philippines and have embraced the lifestyle with gusto. They really love where they live. They really love the lifestyle they've now got. By comparison to what they would have been living in the States, it's a it's a streets ahead on the basis of quality of life. In the States, they would have been in a scratchy ass apartment in a rough area because rents have gone through the roof, apparently. Um, I say apparently, I know there's a great deal of truth in that because they've gone through the roof everywhere. There's a somewhere nice to live, anything nice to eat, something nice to drive, anything nice has a price tag. And anything not so nice also has a price tag, and that is the one that generally, if you can't afford shit, you fall into. And not just that, um, you know, there are a lot of really wonderful, wonderful people out there in the world that spend their life helping other people. And, them people just, are saints. I seem to have digressed a bit, but the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is that what if you don't need to go abroad? What if your life is pretty much as you designed it to be, which is in my situation, in all honesty? Back in 2007, I had an aortic valve replacement, and I've not been the same bloke since. As regards moving about or standing or walking, or I've just been totally. It turned me into an old man overnight, of which, well, I don't necessarily resent it. There are a lot of benefits to being like that, so which is that my ambition has been totally killed for running around and trying to achieve things and get on top of things. Um, I got really fed up with with going to work, um, which I used to love, um, but going to work in my latter years involved working for local authorities and things, and geez, it's an environment where everything's, and it always has been like this. It's not something that, has happened in the last couple of years, as is sweeping the nation, this woke stuff. But the council have always been pretty much like that all the time, um, making it a hateful place to be. I don't know why. It should be a really nice place, because everybody's, sort of on level pegging, but there's a lot of jealousy and um, carelessness. And I don't mean like I can't be asked to do the job. I mean I don't care, you know, um, attitude, and that's that's a pretty horrible place to be or to be immersed in when you're in your 2/3 of your day is spent in that kind of environment. Then you know it has an effect on the rest of you, and and over time, it'll have an effect on your personality, how you see things, how you behave, and it's not good. Anyway, I bought this place back in 2011, and it's a property very similar to the one we grew up in as kids, and I just love it. I just love where I live. It's so quiet. You can have music on as loud as you want. It's detached. It stands a fair distance from the properties either side of you, enough to deaden any noise that may drift either way. So from that point of view, it really is nice, but it can get a little bit like waiting to check out if you're that mentality. It doesn't me, because I get lost in my own thoughts and in my own dreams. Basically, I do enjoy my own company, but I really wanted to do a record of the rest of my life, really, and it's not for any. I'm going to put it on YouTube, but it's only because I want to store it somewhere, or maybe the kids will have a look at it later. I don't know. Of which I've got 5. But yes, Paul and this. Well, I can't remember his name. Is for the life of me, because he's a really good interviewer and vlogger. That's what they call this, isn't it? Vlogging. And he interviews different blokes, and he gets out of them their life stories in the space of an hour and a half, and it's a really interesting hour and a half, because there's some really interesting geezers out there, and if you ask the right question, you can get a real. It's so enjoyable. It really is. I suppose it equates to reading autobiographies, which I've always enjoyed all my life. How people got to be where they are. I've always loved discovering that. Um, I live in the UK. I live in a place called Nottingham, a little suburb of Nottingham, 4 miles from Trembridge Cricket Ground. So that'll give you some kind of idea. That's sort of pretty much internationally known, and it is. I think, even though it's had a terrible reputation with being some kind of gun capital of the UK in its at some point in the recent few years, we never see any of it. And you usually find that, won't you? The people that live there don't experience it. But for some reason, there has been parts of Nottingham that have been no-go areas, really. Again, not that affects me, because I don't go to them places. But I love where it is we live. It's a 3-bedroom detached bungalow, and the back in 2000 and might have been 9 or 10, something like that. I had solar panels fitted to the roof, and I stopped working the reference to the solar panels will become obvious in a minute, but I stopped working. I'm just trying to think what sort of year it was. It must have been 2015, maybe, something like that. And I paid the solar panels at the time was something like £10,000 to outfit it. they say you might get your money back over 20 years. I didn't really do it for that. I did it for the fact that I wanted to, as I was getting older, I wanted to reduce my electric costs. And I absolutely loved the idea of the incentive of them giving you back 50% of the electric you generate. Now, which again pays for your solar panels. So it's not all about getting it back, is it? You buy something. The reason I bought him was to use or get a cheaper electric bill. Not only do I get a cheaper electric bill, I suppose, because although I was talking to the girl that comes round and does a bit of cleaning for me this week, and she's living on her own with her husband. I say living on her own with her husband. That's not living on your own, is it? She lives with her husband, just the two of them. And their electric bill combined, electric and gas, which is what mine is. She says it's over 200 and something quid. And I thought, well, mine's not that. Mine's 185, something like that. You get a 25% reduction for living on your own in council tax, which is, for people who live in a different country, it's a tax that's levied by your local authority in order to pay for the police force and road repairs. And I say road repairs, that's the local authorities do get an injection from central government for that too, but maintenance, road maintenance, fire brigade, your bins emptied, recycling, stuff like that. Essentially, that's what your council tax covers. The street lighting, the communal areas that everybody uses, and obviously that somebody has to pay for that, and the local authority do, of course, and that is what it goes to pay for. That is, well, I see it as very expensive now. It's in the old days it was nothing like the cost of a mortgage, but now it's as much as a mortgage. It's 200, 170, 180 with the reduction a month. And then you've got water, which is about 40 quid a month. And any maintenance that might come up on the property. But when I bought this back in 2011, I was working at the time and I renovated. Thank you.
Okay.
That was the postie. Yep, I've got them just opening the door and dropping stuff in every time they land. They do me a courtesy knock just to let me know that they're there and they're going to do that. Anyway, so the cost of living here in Nottingham, because my mortgage is now paid off, is council tax, gas, water and electric. And then you've got the big one. I do have a cleaner. She costs me 40 quid a week. But she's very good. She comes and she washes clothes. She changes any beds that's been slept in. And cleans the entire house from, bungalow from back to front. And it's well worth the money. I do lots of. I used to. I don't do lots of shopping online so much these days because my daughter is going through a little bit of a crisis in her life, and she comes over here fairly regularly now, as it happens, and she does little things like that. She goes to the shops and does a shop. You know, she might stay over a couple of nights as well because she lives in Arnold along with her two brothers and the dog. So, as you can see, well, as you've heard, there's not a lot of expense to live in here because you can eat as expensive or as cheaply as you want. You can have, you know, sort of state-of-the-art grub that's bought every day and it's fresh as a daisy, or you can eat sensibly. I tend to have a Chinese once a week, or some kind of treat where you don't have to do any cooking or anything. The rest of the time it's baked potatoes and fried food and, you know, meals like, easy meals like spaghetti bolognese, cottage pies, things like that. Sausage and mash, sausage and chips, no, not so much chips. I don't really eat them. But I do like potatoes, so Irish family, you didn't like potatoes, there'd be something wrong with you. That's as much as I want to say for now because I want to see how easy it is to post this on there. But there's lots of things I want to cover. I'd like to talk more about the foreign places to retire to, and how they compare or don't compare, either whichever way you want to look at it. To where I currently live, one of the big things that these gents seem to love is the fact that they've got, you know, lots of mates out of this, and they go and have coffee together in the day, and you know, things like that. And I thought, well, from my point of view, not really me anyway, you know. But maybe it should be. Maybe it would give you a different way of looking at things. Yeah. Oh yeah. I got heavily involved in the crypto scene. Um, so I have quite a few investments in cryptocurrency. Um, right when it was at its height, um, was when I discovered it, and I suppose really it needed to be there in order to get your enthusiasm because it was a really exciting time to be involved with it and sort of speeded up your learning curve with it because it was mostly positive. Um, but in the last 6 or 7 months, um, it's gone from, well, let me give you an instance. It's gone from Bitcoin being £40,000 for a coin to being £18,000 for a coin. And if you take them ratios, well, that's only halves. Lots of coins have lost 2/3 of the money. Just over half. And that's where we're at today with it. It's holding its own. It seems to bottom out where it is at the minute. But that's a video for another day, because I follow them all. I listen to them all on YouTube and what their attitude is towards this, and investors and people that are involved in it, and it really is. Even though I've lost a good bit of money on paper, you've only lost it if you sell or cash it in or they go bust. And one currency's gone bust already. I was limited exposure to them, but it was still enough. You lose 200 or 300 quid, it still guts you. Whether you've got thousands tied up with it or not, it doesn't matter. If you lose anything, it just affects you. I mean, I'll give you an instance. This isn't an instance in crypto. It's an instance in losing. I bought the shares out of my father's late father's estate to the company he worked for all his life, and I trained in the early parts of my life, called North Midland Construction, and I enjoyed dividend payments from them throughout the years that I held, as did my dad, just throughout the years that I held them. But ultimately, I felt confident that they wouldn't go bust on the basis that there was a lot of bigger firms, stronger firms, went bust in the past, and they weren't one of them. And it was like telling me something that they either knew what they were doing or knew how to deal with, in a very unique way, how to deal in the construction industry. Well, they lasted a good long time. They had a fabulous run. It went through 2 generations of their family, the father, Major Moyle, who started it all, and the son, Robert Moyle, who got to the ripe old age of 66, 67. He got to retirement age, basically, before it went pop. And he'd been handsomely paid all his life, and has, some fabulous assets, not least everything that his father had amassed. But they went bust, and I was holding shares at the time that they went bust, and, at the height, them shares would have been worth 20 grand. At the death, they were worth 4. It's another 4 grand you don't want to lose, but you have. Not a depressing video. It didn't start out as that. It started out as me just wanting to talk and just see what it looks like if I can get it on YouTube. You're probably going to say, "Oh God, what's he rabbiting on?" Don't care. Really don't care. I just want to see what it looks like, and guess what? Loads more are going to follow. Because I've got no else to do except fill YouTube up with poop like this, so anybody who wants to follow it, I'm not going to say the immortal words, like and subscribe, and that really helps a lot. That sends the algorithm doing shit. I don't know what it does, but it does something. Let's see if I can't get better at this, especially talking to a camera. I don't really want to go any longer than